Hi everyone, I wanted to take a few minutes to talk about money. I anticipate that a lot of you probably have some questions about it, so I thought if I created this video, you can watch it whenever you have time and also watch it more than once if you want to watch it later in the semester, a little bit closer to when you might be thinking about having the right currency for the trip. First of all, in the UK, which is the United Kingdom, that Scotland is part of, they use the pound. The official name is the pound sterling. We also will have a layover in Dublin, Ireland at the airport. We won't leave the airport, but they do use euros. And so if you think you might want to get a snack or a drink or something at the airport, we'll talk a little bit about that as well. Most of this presentation, though, is going to be based on when we're in Scotland and the pound. I've divided into two different areas. One is how can you get the correct cash for your trip, and the other one is how should you get the correct cash for your trip. How can you get the correct cash is the same for everyone. How should you get it could be very individualized based on the way that you spend money, the way that you budget money, and the types of cards that you have. Okay, so first, how can you get the money? You can order foreign currency from your bank. I don't think I'm going to do that for this trip myself, but I have done it for other trips and also for gifts, and it's very easy to do. I went to the branch of my bank, and they were very, very helpful, and I just had to fill out a form. The bank sends in the form, and then they send the currency in the pounds to my home through the mail, and they came in just a couple of days. So that's one way you can do it, and they give you the real exchange rate then, and so that's one good way to do it if you're the kind of person that's organized and wants to have that cash on you ready to go when you hit the ground in Scotland. Another way that you can get the correct cash is just by taking your debit card and going to an ATM machine. When you use the debit card in Scotland, it will give you pounds. So that's another way that you can get the money. And then the third way to get money is to take cash in dollars with you. And then when we get to the airport, you can go to one of the exchange places and exchange your cash there for pounds. Okay, so those are the ways that you can get the currency that you need. How should you get the currency that you need is the more complicated question. The only way really to know is to call your bank, and by your bank I mean the customer service on the cards that you plan to use, and ask about its policy regarding exchanging foreign currency, and also ask about the fees that are attached to that. Banks have different policies, and it also might vary by the type of account that you have. So you need to make sure that you communicate with each bank that is servicing any card that you plan to take with you to study abroad. I strongly recommend that you bring a credit card, and by that I mean a MasterCard or a Visa. Discover cards are not widely accepted in Europe, and American Express is not as widely used in Europe, and traveler's checks are a thing of the past. Nobody takes traveler's checks. So the key is going to be to have some kind of card. Our suggestion is at least one of your cards is an actual credit card rather than a debit card. But obviously, everybody's financial decisions are up to themselves. It's just what we suggest in case of an emergency. You should really make sure you have at least two means of payment, and that's because in case you would maybe lose or one would get stolen, and then so you would definitely have another way to make your purchases after that if that happens, which I doubt it will, but it could. The suggested budget for our trip is $500. That is really needs to cover your lunches and most of your dinners. We'll have a welcome dinner and a farewell dinner that WorldStrides buys for us, and we'll have breakfast every day as part of our trip. But lunches and dinners will be at your own expense. Any activities that aren't on our itinerary, like if you want to go see a show while we're there, that is at your own expense. And of course, any souvenirs you want to buy is at your own expense. We suggested the same budget in Ireland. Some students thought it was fine. Some students thought it was a little bit low. It really just depends on how many souvenirs you're going to buy and how expensive your taste is when you're eating out. So think about that when you're trying to budget your money. When you're getting ready to call the bank, make sure that you have the cards that you plan to use handy. And again, there's a customer service on the back of your credit cards that you'll use to ask these questions. Make sure that you have your account number, any PIN numbers that you already have assigned to your cards ready to go. Also, make sure that you have some time. You will be on hold for a while, and they might have to transfer you around to get you to the right place. So don't plan to do this when you have to be running out the door in 10 minutes, or it probably is going to feel pretty frustrating. Do it when you have a little bit of extra time. The questions for your bank, like I think I mentioned earlier, is one, you want to ask them if they have any foreign transaction fees. And two, you want to ask how they calculate the exchange rate, because you want to know if they are padding it at all. Now, again, getting the money ahead of time, I'm probably not going to do that for this trip, because I'm the kind of person who uses my credit card for almost every purchase I make. If I'm buying a pack of gum, I use a credit card. It's just the way I like to budget, and also the way my credit cards work, it's really the safest way for me to do it, because if that card gets misused, I'm not liable for anything like that from my credit card. Again, I can't speak to other people's credit cards, but for me, it's the safest way. It's the way I like to budget myself, because I just use that and then I pay it off at the end of the month. So I'm going to live my life very similarly when I'm in Scotland, and I plan to use my credit cards for almost everything. And at my bank, when I wanted to order the foreign currency, I need to order at least $150 for it to be free. Then it's free. It's just the exchange rate. So I don't like to pay for my own money. So I'm probably not going to do that, because $150 is a lot of cash for me. I'm really just going to want a little bit of cash in case I need to give a cash tip somewhere. Because like I said, the way I spend money is just generally using my credit card. If for whatever credit card and debit card you have, you want to call each bank and follow the prompts that they give you, or ask to talk to an agent. We used to have to always call our banks to let them know, our credit card banks, to let them know that we are traveling, because sometimes if you try to buy something abroad, it'll trigger a fraud alert, because they're not used to you purchasing things in Scotland. Now, I had two different experiences. I have two different credit cards from two different banks. The one bank, when I called to give them my dates of travel, they said, oh, you don't need to do that anymore. You have a trip card and you have secure purchasing all over the world. We don't even need to know when you're traveling. The other credit card took all my information. They took the dates of my traveling and they took the places that I'm traveling. Make sure to also mention that you will be in the Dublin airport in Ireland briefly, because again, if you tell them you're going to be in the UK and then you do a purchase in Dublin, it could possibly cause a fraud alert, which, that's just inconvenient, because then they shut your card down. You have to get it set up again. So that's one reason why you need to call your credit card companies. Again, they might tell you not necessary for your kind of card, but it's better to check and be sure. Then, like I said, you also want any card that you want to use over there, you want to ask them about their policies on foreign transactions. Some banks may charge you for that, or they may not give you the daily rate. So you want to know, how do they calculate the exchange rate, and do they have any fees for any kind of foreign transactions? For instance, my debit card charges a 3% fee every time I use my debit card as a foreign transaction. So every time I go to an ATM machine and take out money, it's going to charge me 3%. Now, that is, and it's at least 50 cents. So if I went to an ATM machine to take out $5, it's going to charge me 50 cents. So now that's 10% of my fee. It's a 10% fee on what I just took. So I am going to be very careful, and I am planning on visiting because I didn't want the $150 because then I wouldn't have to pay for it. I'm going to be very careful and only go, hopefully, to an ATM machine once. I'm going to think about how much cash am I going to need for that whole trip, and I'm going to take it out once because I only want to pay one fee instead of having to keep paying fees every time I need a little bit more cash. So that is my plan. And again, once you get some of these answers about your cards, you'll be able to better make your own plan. Okay. Few additional tips. Sometimes when they have these little machines that they actually bring to your table at a restaurant for you to pay instead of maybe going up to a counter, occasionally they ask for a PIN. My credit cards all have PINs set up. But if you don't have a PIN set up, you might want to do that before the trip. Again, last trip, they didn't seem to ask us for PINs as much as they did when we went 4 years ago. So things might be changing a little bit with that, but that is one suggestion you might want to do. Okay, exchange rates do fluctuate daily. So again, the exchange rate will be different on different days that we're there. I did look them up. Today it's January 9th, and $1 will get you 0.72 pounds. So if you exchange $100 in cash, you will get 72 pounds. So it's not a great rate right now. Hopefully it'll be a little bit better by the time we're going. But it's something that you can look up just to see if you're curious. Also, like I said, the people that are exchanging cash at the airports and the ATM machines at the airports are going to have fees. That's how they make their money. So I can't speak to what every fee is going to be at different machines or different places, but sometimes the cash places might not give you the daily exchange rate because, again, they have to make their money somewhere. So it's either going to be through the exchange rate or it's going to be through an additional fee. Okay, so another tip I have for you is to take pictures of the back of your credit cards before you leave. I even emailed them to myself in case I lost my phone too. And that's just because that is where the customer service numbers are. And if you would lose or misplace your card, then you don't have that number. But if you take a picture of the back of your card, you can just look at that picture and then call the number in case anything happens to your card or if it's not working when we're over there. I also do not keep all my money in one place. Usually I put one of my credit cards in my check luggage, and then I keep some cash and my other card in my purse with me at all times. That way, if something happens to the purse or something happens to my luggage, I still have money in a different place than maybe what went wrong. Okay, I hope this is helpful. Let me know if you have any questions, and I'm looking forward to seeing you all soon.